If you're a family that decides you're going to allow your children to have sleepovers, here are some things to consider. So tip number one is to know your child. And basically, it was kind of what we were just talking about. Like, how old are they? You know, is it age appropriate for them to have a sleepover? Where are you sending them? You know, who's, is this a family member? Is this a friend? You know, so kind of knowing like what would be appropriate for your child based upon their developmental level. I also think social skills and some other things would come into play there.
And with that as well is, have we had that, again, conversation with kiddos of do you as a parent trust your kiddo to go over to another person's, even a best family friend's house, and do they know how to even, call for help if they need it? Do they know how to, I need it, to talk to an adult, or B, call home because I don't feel either comfortable and safe? Yeah,
it's interesting because, I think back at a time when I was growing up that I never, as far as I can remember, never had any bad experiences at a sleepover, but I do remember my mom not letting me go once because I had started sleepwalking when I was a kid. And so she just felt safer knowing I was in a home versus like she wouldn't let me go to the lake with my friends, like, or I wasn't allowed to go camping for a short period of time. And I didn't get a lot of offers on that anyways, but I remember her specifically saying no to those sleepover opportunities simply because she knew I was sleepwalking a lot and she didn't want me to be out in the woods and walk off. Yeah. She knew me well enough to know that, at this juncture in my kid's life, not a good idea in that setting.
Tip number 2 that we have for you guys is meet the parents. Know the environment you're sending your kiddos. Is this a family that you guys know very well? And if you don't, maybe you go and you meet the parents. Maybe you just understand like what their routines are, what they're comfortable with, how they like to do sleepovers, and also for this too, it's like that trust in that other family is if something does go wrong, or say the kids look up things they're not supposed to, will that parent come and talk to you and tell you? And just having those, just being transparent, like, hey, if there's anything that happens, or even if there's something that's going on that you don't feel comfortable with my kiddo, like, I want that phone call. I want to have a conversation. I want to be able to trust this whole other parent to kind of take care of my kiddo for the night.
Right. My wife and I, when we first had kids, we said there would always be 4 questions that we asked and when we went to meet the parents, before we let our kid, even just sleep over, just go over there to play unsupervised by us. And that is, are there guns in the home? What's the internet situation?
Yes.
Are there any other children in the house? Because I want to know, like, if I'm sending my small child over there, they're bigger kids. And then if there is a sleepover situation, what are the sleeping arrangements? And of course, if they answer yes to any one of those, I'm asking more questions, to get to put my mind at ease on where I'm sending my child. So the third one is to trust your gut. I know that sometimes our gut might tell us something's off that might not be off, but I think it's just better to err on the side of caution anyways.
Absolutely. And kind of like your personal story before, like your mom made that decision of, hey, my kiddo is sleepwalking right now. Like, I don't think it's right to do like a camping one, or because you're not safe in that house. And that was your mom trusting her gut. Like, this is a decision I have to make to keep my kiddo safe. And then our last kind of final tip here is doing a follow-up with your kiddo, checking in with them after their sleepover, seeing how it goes, and talking about, like, what have you noticed that was different at, their house that was different than our house? Because I remember going to other kids' houses and they make meals for dinner that is so different from my parents' meals, and and so like just talking about that and talking about how like even just like the different smells of someone's house is different, but just following up with them and checking in with them and seeing, because that's the conversation and getting used to that. That's when kids will tell you if something has happened that they weren't comfortable with or they felt anxious about, or and identifying that.
Yeah. And I think it's important to take note that following up with your child is not just done through conversation. It's also done through observation. Especially with the smaller they are, they just don't articulate as well. They don't engage in conversation as well. So you need to be paying attention to what they're doing, if they've learned something new. Is that where did they might have learned that there, whether it's good or bad or neutral, or just any kind of changes of behavior. Because if something happens, and sometimes it does, I think we need to acknowledge that sometimes it does. It's important to not turn a blind eye to something that's alarming to you. And we'll make sure in the description of this video, so we'll put some resources in that for you, so that you can find therapists in your area, or if Molly happens to have a good website to go to or something like that, we'll add those, and you can peruse those at your leisure. Yeah, but Molly, I appreciate you doing this today. I hope you'll do it again someday.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
It was a blast. So appreciate anybody that was watching this, and hope you benefited from the information that we gave you. So, thanks.
Thank you.